They can't kill the movement. Ladies and gentlemen, they may try, but they cannot kill the movement. Let's go, round two. Let's go. Let's go. Going live. What's happening, you savages? Welcome back to another live stream right here on Cassius Morris Official. As I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted, ladies and gentlemen, by the last stream, we had to hop back on. We had a little technical difficulty, as many streamers do, but we're here back in action. As I was trying to say, though, huge shout out to you guys, man. The channel is in an absolute milestone point when it comes to numbers. This past 5 days, we've done about 300,000 views right here on Cassius Morris Official. So, guys, this is all you. I got to hand it to each and every one of you guys watching this. Huge shout out to you. They cannot stop the movement that is moving this strong. And let me tell you something. We are just getting started, man. We're taking this shit all the way. Lots of stories to break down on today's stream. We have a whole bunch of stuff from Joe Rogan to ICE to Trump. We'll hop over to the Epstein files a little bit later. We'll take a look at Kai Cenat retiring from streaming. And, of course, random gold that we find all across the internet. But for this first clip, we're going to hop into Joe Rogan speaking on his latest thoughts on the ICE operations, the Trump administration, and the woman who was killed, of course, in Minnesota. Now, Rogan is not mincing words when it comes to his opinion on this. We have two clips to play back to back. I'm going to read you guys' reactions in the chat, and I'm also going to break down my thoughts. So, guys, let's get that algorithm. We were doing pretty good. We had like 100 people in the chat right before the last live got terminated, and I think this one sounds good. Minnesota. Now, Rogan. This one sounds good. So let's get this one going crazy. This is the new link, and let's break it down. So the first clip of the night. Here is Joe Rogan on his new episode of his podcast, speaking on his thoughts on ICE. Let's take a listen.
I guess yesterday or the day before. I mean, I think after that woman was shot, I think unfortunately, well, everything's unfortunate about it, right? But one of the real problems is now ICE are villains, and now people are looking at them like murderous military people that are on the streets of our city, and they're masked up, which is also a problem, right? Because if you get arrested by a cop, you're allowed to ask the cop, what is your name and badge number, and you could film that cop. If you get arrested by an ICE agent, you have no such right. They're wearing a mask. They don't have to tell you shit. That's a problem. That's a problem on our city streets, right? Because you could also pretend to be an ICE agent.
Right.
So I saw this terrible story about this family that was killed where these guys pretended to be a UPS driver. And they showed up and they made their way into the house and killed the people because they were dressed up as a UPS driver.
That stuff happens a lot, by the way. Guys, if you're not expecting anybody, I beg of you, do not open your door. I don't care. Listen, I don't care if you look outside and you see what looks like a UPS driver. I don't care if it looks like a DoorDash or Uber Eats delivery. If you're not expecting somebody, don't open the door, because people have gotten crafty nowadays, man. You never know who's on the other side.
If you could pretend to be a UPS driver, for sure you could pretend to be an ICE agent, especially since they're completely anonymous. So think about how many people can get arrested or robbed or by criminals, right? Because you could just have people pretending they're like, it's not like it's impossible to fake their logo, right? It's pretty easy. Just says ICE. You know, how hard is that? You could easily imagine armed gangs pretending to be ICE agents robbing people.
Joe Rogan speaking on ICE's presence in the streets of the United States and the potential conflict that could arise from them being completely anonymous. We have the second clip right here of Rogan speaking on illegals who are also natural-born citizens in the United States, which is where things start to get tricky. This is the gray area, I think, for the immigration debate. The people who were born in the country against their own will, who were not supposed to be born in the country, what do we do with these people? What is the pathway for them? Joe Rogan weighs in.
the way it looks is horrific. It when you're just arresting people in front of their kids and just normal, regular people that have been here for 20 years,
Yeah.
that everybody who has a heart can't get along with that.
No.
Everybody who has a heart sees that and goes, that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be the only way to do this.
Right.
Because you have to think, look, yeah, we have to have a border. Yes, it should have been secure. Yes, they should make sure you know who everybody is before they get in.
Yeah.
But when people been here for 20 years, like, come on, man. That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
let's find a way. If they've been productive members of society for 20 years, no criminal record, they worked the entire time, they paid taxes, find them a pathway to citizenship. Find a way where you can do this thing that you want to do, which is keep terrorists and cartel members from getting across the border with drugs that kill 100,000 people a year. Okay, but also have a heart. Because if you don't, you're not going to get anybody on your side. If you're doing this stuff publicly, throwing women to the ground, handcuffing people, just for existing on the wrong side of the dirt.
Yeah.
Not a criminal. Not the only crime they ever committed was coming over here as a kid.
Yeah.
They probably didn't even know what the was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You know, a lot of kids got snuck across when they were already born in Mexico. And they've grown up their entire life in America. They can't even speak Spanish.
But see, the issue here is that the hardline right-wing people, the people who are supporting ICE through and through, they don't care about that because they say that the fact that these people are in the country, period, in and of itself is the crime. See, there's two sides of the argument. The people on Rogan's side are arguing that folks have been essentially smuggled into the United States against their own will. They are natural-born citizens, or they were, maybe entered the country when they were 1 or 2 years old. So those people are not committing a crime. That's, Rogan's perspective and the people who are, I guess, more left-leaning on this issue, their perspective. But the hardline perspective from the people who are running the show, the people like Tom Homan, the people like the Trump administration, and the MAGA people who are supporting ICE, is that even these people being in the country, the act of them even living there, is the crime. So there's no such thing in their minds as somebody who's an illegal alien who hasn't committed a crime. What do you guys think in the chat? I mean, I think it's a very hard line to draw. And I think, for me, it's like two things can be true at the same time. Yes, they can technically be in the country illegally, and that is a crime. But you're not going to tell me a person who's been an upstanding citizen to the United States. Let's say it's a person who was supposed to be born in Mexico, and they were smuggled into the country when they were 1 year old. If that person is a more productive member of society, say, than some Americans even are, I think that person should be able to stay. I don't think that person is a criminal. That's just my personal perspective, because there could be a person, let's say there's some Guatemalan girl who came in at 2 years old. She's up every day, she's working. At least she's not on EBT. At least she's not on food stamps. At least she's not on government assistance like a lot of the Americans who were born there actually are. At least she's not out committing crimes and robbing people like a lot of Americans actually are. And this goes back to the point that we were talking about yesterday. People are so focused on the immigration issue that they're letting slide other issues that are happening in their country from their own citizens. If the U.S. is looking at the crime, if they're looking at getting things in order, law and order, the main thing they should be looking at is their own citizens. Now, here's the other point to look at, too, when it comes to these ICE operations recently in the last couple of months. All of this fanfare, all of this bad press, all of these people turning against ICE and making them the villains, just like Rogan said. And what is the actual payoff of these operations? Well, really not much. The actual total number of people who've been apprehended by ICE in these recent operations is roughly around the number of 500 people. Now, once you actually go through the people who they have caught, many of the folks that they were targeting are not in that group. I mean, the initial idea for these raids, for sending ICE out, was to get drug lords and cartel leaders off the streets. This was to get high-level criminals out of the United States. And really what's happened is there's been a massive fallout. A couple people have been caught and extradited from the country, but not nearly as many as we were promised would be. Now, here's the other aspect with the immigration issue, which is sort of confusing when you look at the current implementation of the ICE raids, is that the southern border, the issue there is pretty much remedied. From recent reports, and we can go ahead and look into this even, from recent reports, there has been almost zero border crossings from the main problem area in the southern border as of late. So ICE is on the streets. They're terrorizing and taking over. They're not really bringing in the number of people or the caliber of criminal that they're promising to bring in. I think looking at this situation from a bird's eye view, it seems to be more of a net negative than a net positive. And don't get me wrong, I'm not pro illegal immigration. I think we should absolutely have a secured border. I think all of this is great. Taking cartel leaders, taking drug lords off the streets of the United States, people who pose a harm to law enforcement, people who pose a threat to every single citizen in the country. I think those people should absolutely be removed. But now we're crossing into a territory where there's a lot of extra stuff happening. And a lot of this extra stuff is not actually helping us get to that goal. So what do you guys think in the chat? Do you guys think ICE is serving its purpose or not? Just drop a yes or no, and I'll read you guys' thoughts here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of support for ICE in the chat. They're committing a crime. Some people are saying they look like the Gestapo. So yeah, I mean, I think that this is sort of a botched operation when you really take a look at what's happening with ICE. Now, here's the other thing that Rogan mentioned, and we'll play the beginning of the clip. We'll play this part really quick for anybody who missed it.
They're wearing a mask. They don't have to tell you shit. That's a problem. That's a problem on our city streets, right? Because you could also pretend to be an ICE agent.
Right.
So I saw this terrible story.
So Rogan talks about the fact that they're masked up is not only causing confusion about who's actually a law enforcement officer and who's not, but it's also giving immunity for people and anonymity for people who are serving in an official capacity who may not actually deserve to be anonymous. And for this, I completely agree. Look, even when you look at the most right-wing people in the United States, the one thing that they are really strong about is the Constitution and the rights that the American citizens have. Even with police, it is very important, even for the most right-wing of people in America, I see it on YouTube every day, that the police identify themselves with a name and a badge number. When it comes to law in the United States, that's one of the most important things. And this is a policy, at least with policing, that has really, really helped a lot of people be held accountable. I would say the fact that there's not proper identification in terms of badge numbers and names being displayed, but also there's not even proper identification for facial recognition. We can't even see who most of these ICE people are behind their masks. I agree with Rogan. I think this actually causes a severe issue for a lot of different reasons. You don't know if the person you're dealing with is actually with ICE. How are the people in ICE even supposed to know who else is in ICE? You know, let's say I show up to an ICE operation and I'm wearing a ski mask and I have the true to life gear. Like I got the vest and everything that I'm wearing looks exactly like the official ICE uniform. What is stopping me from just joining the operation and just pretending that I'm ICE? And people can say that sounds ridiculous, but why is it ridiculous? There's no proper identification for these individuals. So I think this causes a pretty big issue when we're talking about folks just roaming the streets. And honestly, if I'm not being, like, I'm just thinking from my own personal perspective here. If I'm not being given proper identification from somebody, like I alluded to before, I'm not opening the door. So I don't care if there's a bunch of dudes in ski masks outside of my house who are claiming to be ICE. That door is not going to be opened because I don't trust it. Name, badge number, and lawyer. I've told you guys before, my vocabulary gets incredibly small when it comes to law enforcement. I only know a couple of phrases. Name, badge number, and lawyer. And if I can't get the name and the badge number at the very least, and I know some of them have given it, guys, some of the ICE agents have given it, I have to give credit where it's due that there are actually some half-decent ICE agents. I'm not sitting here trying to say that every single person in ICE is a devil, like a lot of folks are saying. But what I am saying is that they need to be held accountable, especially with the kind of work they're doing. There needs to be, look, if we're not going to have due process, if Trump refuses to provide due process for anybody who's being deported, there at least need to be checks and balances on the streets of America like there is for any other law enforcement operation. There has to be a safeguard for people to be held accountable if they're deporting the wrong person, if they're using excessive force, whatever the case may be, unless Americans just want a police state. You know, I say that we need all of these things. Part of me wonders if America just wants to be a police state. I mean, if you don't want the freedoms, you don't need to have them. I mean, they can easily be taken away from you. I think the confusing part for me with a lot of the reaction to this, guys, and again, I'm reading the chat. Please illuminate me as to your perspectives. I don't understand why there's so much pushback to having accountability for law enforcement and making sure this doesn't get out of hand. Because what is the alternative? Basically living in a militarized police state. And that's not the America that I grew up on. I mean, I'm not Mr. America here, but that's not the way that I've pictured America. Last time I checked, I thought Americans valued their freedom. And from where I'm sitting, whether you're Republican, Democrat, whatever the case may be, this seems to be approaching a territory now where it's encroaching on people's freedom now. This is not the free country, which it may have never even been a free country, to be completely frank with you, that it may have just been a complete sham. You know, the American dream may have been a complete scam. But this is not the free country that I thought existed. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. People are talking a lot about the woman who was shot too, the Good woman. I just don't. I'm kind of siding with Rogan. I'm siding with everybody else on this one, guys. I think that was excessive force. I know that there's a lot of layers to it, because this is one piece that a lot of people aren't discussing too, with the ICE shooting. The officer who shot the woman, I believe her name was Renee Good. The officer who shot her, he actually had a situation a couple months earlier where he was hit by somebody's car. Somebody actually tried to seriously injure him with their car. So I think it's a tricky situation. I have a lot of experience with law enforcement in the fact that a lot of my family members have been law enforcement and family friends. So growing up, I'd be in situations sitting there with 5 law enforcement officers, just getting to pick their brain and really hear their perspective on the law. And the ones I've talked to, they think this is excessive force. Also, coming from Canada, the police just don't operate like that. There's really no scenario where you're going to be using lethal force before non-lethal force unless it's an immediate threat to one's life. And a lot of people, again, there's a lot of debates about the ICE situation. A lot of people have said she deserved to be shot. A lot of people said this was an immediate threat to the ICE officer and his life was in danger. You know what? Maybe it was. But I'm still telling you this looks like excessive force to a degree. I don't agree that his life was in danger. And that's really that. So let's hop over to some more reactions. Adam Carolla actually just made an appearance on the Piers Morgan show, and he spoke on the shooting. He was completely on ICE's side. His quote from this interview is, "Keep your fat ass at home and stay out of the way." So maybe my chat will agree.
Well, join me.
Let's take a look, guys. Let's hear what Adam Carolla... Shout out to Adam Carolla, by the way.
Exactly what had happened. I saw so many people take an immediate position before anyone really knew exactly what had happened or why it may have happened or understanding the motivations of the people involved, which is kind of a sign of the times, I guess. And then as more and more video footage emerged, people got ever more entrenched into their views. What's your view about what happened here?
Well, I'm always consistent and sort of philosophical about this, which is you have to be very careful when people have guns and you don't, whether they're law enforcement, whoever they are. If a person has a gun and you don't, you probably shouldn't spit on them or threaten them in any way or do anything. And you can say, well, that's wrong. Maybe it is, and maybe their training should be better, or maybe they should be less human, but they still have a gun and you don't. So we should start just sort of based on that, whether it's a cop pulling you over or who knows, by the way, who knows? That guy could have caught his wife having an affair the night before, could have been drinking that day. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, people go, oh, well, the cop was wrong. I think the cop was wrong, but I still would like to see nobody get shot by cops. So for the time being, treat them like people that have guns and you don't.
That's kind of what I was wondering too, though. Like, where does this suburban woman, like, we're talking about a suburban soccer mom from the Midwest type of thing, at least like that type of character, straight out of Central Casting. What gave this woman the confidence to approach somebody in full military gear and start mouthing off? You're approaching people with pepper spray, guns, knives, potentially tasers. What gives you the courage to do so?
And doesn't mean you can't protest and doesn't mean you can't debate, but when it starts getting into automobiles or spitting or pushing, now you're getting into a gray area where they may use their gun.
See, I think everybody here made...
What do you guys think? Is Adam right or wrong?
Fundamental...
He says basically the officer was justified to use his gun.
...mistakes. Probably based on,
yeah.
In the cop's case, or the ICE officer's case, a false presumption that she was trying to cause him physical harm or run him over. He might well have believed that. I think it's very relevant, as I've discussed earlier, that a few months earlier, he was in a very similar situation as Guy, and he ended up being dragged by the car for several hundred yards. I don't think that's irrelevant at all. I think in that moment, he may have feared the same thing was happening and may genuinely have feared for his safety, right? So who knows what was going to... But we don't really know what was going through his mind, do we?
No, but what I'm saying is if a cop has a gun and you don't, and all of a sudden you make a quick move to grab something out of your pocket, he may shoot you.
Right.
And what I'm basically saying is don't make that quick move. Just comply. Because every single one of these tragic shootings, it doesn't matter. You know, here in the United States, we never get tired of talking about white cops shooting black people, motorists, and blah, blah, blah. 99.9% would be solved with compliance.
Adam's dead on here, and I've screamed about this, by the way, on my stream for years now, about American police interactions. For years, I've been screaming at my screen, watching these videos, saying, if you were to just comply, you would not be in this situation. Remember when the guy got arrested outside of the Hard Rock Stadium, the dude from the Miami Dolphins? His name's escaping me. This guy was in his supercar, NFL player, pulling up to the Hard Rock Stadium to play for the Dolphins. He's in his supercar sitting there. The police are interrogating him, 3 cops outside the window. What does this guy decide to do? He decides to roll up his tinted windows in the middle of a traffic stop. So obviously the police are confused. They try to get him to take the window down. He doesn't take the window down. They smash the window and take him out. What happens that night? The whole world is crying about police brutality. They put their hands on him because he was a black man, and you shut the window in the middle of a traffic stop. But it's because the sun was at an 85-degree angle and the cop had a bad day and he was black. All these excuses. If you just followed the fucking rules, you'd still be here.
It would never happen.
I totally agree. I mean, I would add, as a non-American who's put his head over the parapet on this issue many times, not entirely successfully, that the presumption by law enforcement, quite understandably, in a country with 400 million guns in circulation, is that everyone they pull over may be armed. And they don't know who they really are or what they may do. And therefore, to your point, if you do absolutely nothing and do exactly what law enforcement tell you, then you're going to avoid a situation where any trigger movement of any kind may, in their heads, make them think there could be a gun involved or whatever, and they have to shoot you.
And also, the problem with human beings, and I mean, you can say cops, you can say training, all you want, but at the end of the day, it's a human being. If you have a weapon, if I have a gun, and there's even a 2% chance you could hurt me.
Subscribe if you're liking the stream, guys. Hit that sub. We're on the road to 100,000.
People do this all the time. have a weapon, if I have a gun, and there's even a 2% chance you could hurt me, because people do this all the time. They go, well, the cop shot the guy. Well, all the guy had was a butter knife, or he's just swinging around a bowling pin or something like that. You go, if I have the gun and you don't, and there's 1% chance you could hurt me, whether it's a car or a butter knife, then oftentimes the person with the gun will do it, even if the odds are greatly in their favor. Meaning they are not taking any chances. You know, they go, was she trying to run him over? I don't think she was trying to run him over. It doesn't look like her wheels were turned. Doesn't matter. That guy has 0.2 of a second to decide whether he's trying to be run over or not, and he's the one with the gun. So do not put yourself in that position.
I think that's a pretty sound argument, right? I mean, I feel like people are hating on Adam in my chat. They're saying he's full of shit. He makes no sense. I think it makes perfect sense. You're dealing with a person who's known to be unpredictable. Look, we already know that ICE is not the cream of the crop, okay? Just to put it nicely. I think it's generally well accepted that the people who are working for ICE are not the brightest people in America, and maybe not the most well-tempered people that they could have picked. So look, Adam's just making that observation. We know these guys are hair-triggered. We know they're, in a lot of cases, to be frank, not that bright. And they're just sort of random schlubs off the street who've joined ICE. These people now are emboldened with power from the president, and they have guns. You are now engaged in the activity of chasing these people through the streets and actually trying to terrorize them back to prove a point. Maybe not the best idea, because that's putting your life in danger. Pretty sound argument from Adam. And people they're trying to twist it. It doesn't excuse what happened. I've made my stance on it very clear. I don't think the ICE agent should have shot that woman. I think it was excessive force. But I don't think people should be hurt at all. But if you're messing with somebody that you know can hurt you, and you're willingly, deliberately poking the bear, it doesn't change the fact that I feel bad for you, but maybe it could have been avoided if you weren't doing so. It's a lot easier not to get hurt when you're not antagonizing a man with a gun.
Everybody.
Yeah. And there are other parts of this story, like, what is a young mum doing out there protesting in the way that she was doing, parking the car in the middle of the road, blocking the ICE officers from doing their work and so on. It's clear from her partner who was there that this was a planned thing, a planned resistance, if you like. We don't know the full extent yet of the group they were part of and so on.
And by the way, she didn't even have to comply because she wasn't in a police situation. Why would you seek out, and it doesn't mean she should have been killed, but why would you seek out police contact if you don't even have police contact? Nobody wanted to contact her. Law enforcement was not attempting to reach this woman. So she put herself in a situation where she had unnecessary police contact, which you should never do. Listen, even the most harmless situation, a jaywalking ticket, can end with somebody losing their life. Because anytime there is police contact, that is a risk that can happen. There's a guy with a gun and you're interacting with him. Any unnecessary police contact is unwise.
All of these are
So why was she going after them? She doesn't even have to comply. She wasn't being asked to do anything.
Relevant aspects to this story. There is a kind of slight dementia with people towards these issues, which I think you said this, that people go slightly nuts and they lose their natural sense of caution.
Yeah, well, a couple things. So just to
hold on a second. Guys. Please. Protesting. What happened to peaceful protesting, to my chat? People are saying she's protesting. Does that involve harassing the cops? Last time I checked, a protest was standing on the street corner with a sign. Peacefully. People used to champion peaceful protests. Now I guess we've let that all go. It's supposed to be violent and antagonistic.
Issues, which I think you said this, that people go slightly nuts and they lose their natural sense of caution.
Yeah, well, a couple things. So just to summarize what I've said a million times about this or any other shooting, any situation like this, I basically say this. you may decide that you would like to steal your neighbor's barbecue, which they keep on their back porch, and use it for yourself. And 9 times out of 10, you can hop over your neighbor's fence and grab his barbecue, and it'll be yours. But 1 time out of 10, he may be cleaning his gun in the backyard, and you may get shot. And then people will say, the barbecue is $50. You deserve to get shot over a $50 barbecue. And the answer is no. But once you jump over the fence, you're opening yourself up to that possibility.
Okay, Adam, you're losing me a bit. Let's see if you can close with a strong point, and we'll go to the next clip, guys. We're going to hop into the Epstein Files next. So, guys, listen, make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe on this stream. We're bringing you unfiltered reactions, unfiltered conversation to all the most trending stories in the world, man. This is next level. Let's see how Adam ends his point. I think he had a pretty solid appearance on Piers.
Sort of drilling down on my podcast is there's so many women involved now, and women are the majority of society. I mean, you know, they're 51% or whatever it is, but it's half. And women have been sort of weaponized. They weren't like this in the past. You go out and see the footage, there's women screaming, shoot me at ICE officers. They're physically fighting with these people, with the ICE officers. Yesterday, one spat in the face of one and then got tackled. And when she was being tackled, she was yelling, "What's going on?" And I realized they didn't grow up with rough and tumble play. Male mammals grow up wrestling, finding limits and pressure points. And by the way, knowing who to mess with and who not to mess with. I mean, you learn that real fast by getting punched in the face when you're 13. So we get that, and we can kind of govern ourselves. Women don't grow up with rough and tumble play, so they're having trouble with guidelines and limits.
Oh, so he's saying that all this is happening because they're women. I feel like Adam's rage baiting now. He knows this is going to get people mad at him. Do you guys think that the protesters going up against ICE are fumbling because they're women? I mean, that's kind of a crazy... I don't know about that take.
And assessing danger. And you see it every day. First off, all they talk about is getting out and fighting. And you have to, you know, I see fat middle-aged school teachers saying, ICE, if you come to my classroom, you got to go through me first. Well, you're 48. You're morbidly obese, and you're not armed, and you have no training, so they'll just knock you over. There's all these proclamations, these narcissistic proclamations, meets a blind spot, like literally pushing vans. You know, standing in front of 5,000-pound V8 vans and leaning on the hood and trying to push it back like you have some kind of superhero strength or something. It's tons of women who don't seem to understand what the limits are and who they're dealing with. And I think it's because they didn't grow up testing it like we did.
Well, I thought...
Interesting perspective. I mean, I think some women are rough and tumble. This is a bit of a broad, sweeping statement from Adam, but that's kind of the way Adam speaks, in broad, sweeping statements. So what do you guys think? I mean, look, Adam basically saying, fuck around and find out. Look, this is the age of 2026. We're not mincing words anymore. We're not sugarcoating things. Adam is very clear with his point. Fuck around and find out. You want to fuck with ICE, you might find out. Now, I don't endorse it, but I'm not going to test it either, and that's really my stance. No unnecessary contact with law enforcement is always the best way to go. If other people have guns and you don't, maybe don't get in their face and try to test them. Because, look, this is not the time. 2026, January in the United States of America is not the time to call people's bluff when they have guns, okay? I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb to follow. 2026, if somebody has a gun in the United States, don't call their bluff because they're probably liable to shoot you. It's kind of like people don't realize the danger that we're in. They don't realize the level of temperature that things have got to. This could easily be a matter of life and death. Fuck around and find out. I'm not saying it's right, but it is what it is. So do you want to live or do you want to die? It's very simple. I don't endorse it, but we got to come up with a more clever way to oppose it. We got to come up with a more clever way. Because the same way that I think ICE's tactics at the moment currently are not really working, obviously the protests aren't really working. So let me know what you guys think down below in the chat. We're going to hop over to the next story. Did you guys see Trump completely go nuclear at the Ford plant today? So Trump completely lost it. This was one of my favorite videos that I saw so far this year. Trump went to visit a Ford factory in Michigan to, I guess, show his support to the people in that industry. And one of the workers in the Ford plant yelled at Trump, calling him a pedophile protector. Let's go ahead and take a look at this clip right now. Now, I don't know how well you guys can see that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you guys can see it better. But Trump, not once, but twice, points at this guy and tells him, fuck you. Fuck you. Oh my God. So funny, man. But guess what? Whoever that Ford employee was, that dude, somebody find the Ford employee so I can buy this man a beer. Because guess what? That's exactly what I would have said if Trump walked in front of me. And this is the crazy part that I think 2026 is sort of redirecting our attention in a lot of ways. We came into this year guns a-blazing about the Epstein files. Does anybody remember right before New Year's Eve 2025? The talk of the town, everybody's number one topic, at least here on this stream, was the Epstein files. All of a sudden now, 2026, it's like the Epstein files don't even exist. I haven't heard a person say a word about it in days, in weeks. Trump is barely mentioning it, and I'm sure he's very happy that people are starting to forget. But the fact that people are forgetting, and we need to keep this at the front of mind, is that Donald Trump is a pedophile protector. Now, a lot of people are trying to go super far and just flat out say Donald Trump is a pedophile. Mark Ruffalo said Donald Trump is a pedophile straight up on the red carpet at the Golden Globes just the other day. So a lot of people are making those accusations. To me, I think the facts are pretty clear. You know, when you're having young women working at Mar-a-Lago who are 16, 17, who are literally exactly your type, like, you're telling me that you like blonde women, right? Even just this one piece of evidence is enough for me. You're telling me that your type is blonde women with a certain look, and you had those same types of women working at Mar-a-Lago when they were 15 and 16, and you were sending those women to work with Jeffrey Epstein. He was stealing those women, right? He was because that's why Trump said I was mad because he was stealing workers. He was stealing workers from Mar-a-Lago. Nonetheless, even just that fact is super fucking creepy. It's super creepy. But okay, let's just try to suspend reality for a moment and just say that there's nothing creepy about it. At very best, Donald Trump is a pedophile protector. It's exactly what he is. He's redacting files. Everything Donald Trump has done in his position of power has made it easier for high-level pedophiles to continue operating in the way that they have always operated. Everything he does empowers pedophiles. So it's really clear. And look, people can cry and have a meltdown about it. All that tells me is that you are doing the same thing. And if you can't see it by now, people say you have to sort of have understanding for other people's perspectives. Fuck that. Fuck that. If you're still defending Trump after the Epstein files, you are also a pedophile defender, and it's fuck you too. I got no patience. Listen, I don't got no more patience. I don't got no more time. Well, we shouldn't judge. Yes, we should judge. We should judge. Okay? And I'm judging. It's really, really simple. So at the end of the day, I think this is great. And I think everywhere Donald Trump goes, he should be reminded that he's a pedophile protector. People in my chat are saying, what about Biden? What about Clinton? Dude, fuck all of them. Fuck the lot of them, dude. They're all pedophile protectors. I'm saying the same shit. You can't say that. I just said it. So what are you going to do about it? Everyday media in the chat. What the fuck do you think you're going to do about it? I just said it. And I'm going to say it again. He's a pedophile protector. So now here we are. I'm here saying it. You're there doing nothing about it. And the world continues to turn. I'm going to keep saying it. Donald Trump is a pedo protector. He was doing laps around Epstein's Island, doing the backstroke. Bro was drinking out of a coconut on Pedo Island, completely lapping it up, loving every second of it. And this is just the facts. If you don't want to admit it by now, you are part of the problem, and your uncle probably touched you, and you probably helped hide it from your family. You don't mind. Listen, there's a lot of people who want to protect the creepy uncle at the family get-together. I'm sure there's a lot of you guys here. I'm reading it in the chat. There's a lot of people who want to protect monsters. Fuck it. I know what you guys are like. I know your type. So that's really the facts. Donald Trump, pedophile protector. And you can cry about it. You can get mad about it. Boy, you know it's true. You know it's true. And speaking of it being true, there's actually a new development too. Now, you guys, the real hard MAGA people aren't going to like this one at all. I'm sorry. You guys aren't going to like this one, but I gotta give you the facts. So a new development in the Epstein files actually called for the Clintons to testify. This is a brand new thing here. So the Clintons have reportedly refused to testify. They do not want to speak about Epstein. They do not want to come out and set the record straight. Let's take a listen to this. The Epstein rabbit hole just gets bigger every day. Pause. That sounded wrong. Hold on a second. I'm playing it with no sound like a fucking jerk. I'm sorry. What a rookie move.
Because we have some other major breaking news happening on Capitol Hill right now. Just moments ago, former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said they will not testify before the House Oversight Committee regarding the Epstein investigation. What do we know about this, Michael?
Yeah, Anna, it's pretty big news up here on Capitol Hill, just coming in within the last few minutes that will have legal ramifications. So, of course, we had expected former President Bill Clinton to appear for a deposition today as part of the House Oversight Committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. I say expected because today was his day to appear, but he did not appear, writing to the committee overnight. Him and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who's scheduled to appear for a deposition tomorrow, saying that they would not appear and essentially blasting this investigation as politically motivated. I want to
everything's politically motivated. You know the funniest part about the Epstein files, by the way? Everybody in it wants to claim it's politically motivated, but it's everybody from both sides is in it. It's literally Democrats and Republicans. It's not a partisan thing. It's Republicans, Democrats, and even people outside of politics. But every retard who's in the Epstein files who got caught diddling kids wants to have us believe it's politically motivated. What a fucking bunch of dummies. If it's politically motivated, why is it all parties involved?
It's you part of this statement that we just came in from Hillary and Bill Clinton, them writing to Chairman James Comer of the Oversight Committee, quote, "Every person has to decide when they have seen or had enough and are ready to fight for this country, its principles, and its people, no matter the consequences. For us, now is that time." Now, Anna, this is going to have legal ramifications up here on Capitol Hill. We just heard again within the last few minutes from Congressman James Comer, again, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, who says he now plans to launch contempt proceedings against former President Bill Clinton.
Yeah, but Bill Clinton's not going to be held in contempt of court, man. Let's be real. This is ridiculous because these guys are never held accountable for anything. That's the thing. That's the only reason Bill Clinton is still walking the streets right now. Imagine being a dude who's literally, we've heard stories about him being like a pedophile and a serial rapist and just an overall monster. We've heard these stories for 15, 20, 30 years now. Why is this dude still walking free? You know, if your entire life is you being questioned for sexual crimes, at what point do we just decide to put them in jail? His whole life is an investigation for being a fucking creep with that dirty ass.
We got movement. Here we go.
I don't even want to say it. So this is, let me see what they say about Clinton here, being held in contempt. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
All right. Well, I think everyone knows by now Bill Clinton did not show up. And I think it's important to note that this subpoena was voted on in a bipartisan manner by this committee. This wasn't something that I just issued as chairman of the committee. This was voted on by the entire committee in a unanimous vote of the House Oversight Committee to subpoena former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary Clinton's supposed to show up tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. But with respect to the former president,
So Hillary's supposed to show up today in court. I wonder if she's going to show up, because she's typically smarter than Bill.
Not show up today. One reason I think most Americans want President Clinton to answer some questions.
Man, why are you guys getting on Big Mike in the chat, man? You guys got to chill off Big Mike for a minute. Big Mike is catching strays. It's not even the topic.
Is because he visited the White House.
Not Big
Jeffrey
Mike.
Epstein visited the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. I've been in Congress 9 years. I think
Wait a second. Epstein visited the White House how many times when Clinton was president? 17 times?
Some questions is because he visited the White House. Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president.
That's a lot of times, guys. Listen, that's a lot of times. 17. Look, I can understand if it was once or twice for an event, because here's the excuse they all make. All these rich and powerful people say, well, we're rich and powerful, so our circle is only so big. So we ran into Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe they took a picture. It was just a coincidence. You know, I could actually buy that in certain scenarios, because it's true. I mean, rich and powerful people are going to kick it together. Okay, one picture. Maybe you can explain it away like that. 17 visits to the White House for Bill Clinton. You dirty son of a bitch, you. Honestly, what a bastard this guy is. And I don't know why he's still walking free.
I've been in Congress 9 years. I think I've been to the White House 9 times in 9 years. Epstein was in the White House double the amount of time that I was under one president. And then we know that Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's plane somewhere around 27 times after the presidency. So no one's accusing Bill Clinton of anything.
Dozens of times. Oh, and she's holding the painting, guys. So they're not, this is funny because this is how you know I go deep in this story. They're not showing it, but the painting this woman is holding, let's pull it up. Why is she holding the painting that Epstein had of Bill Clinton in his house? This is the painting the woman's holding on the right. And for anybody who doesn't know, this was an actual painting that Jeffrey Epstein had in his house of Bill Clinton wearing high heels. So they're coming for blood in this little press meeting here. She's got the painting locked and loaded, bro. She's got the painting on deck. Nah, she didn't come to play today.
27 times after the presidency. So no one's accusing Bill Clinton of any wrongdoing. We just have questions, and that's why the Democrats voted along with Republicans to subpoena Bill Clinton. Not a single Democrat showed up today. Not a single Democrat. The ones that have press conferences on the Capitol steps and talk about how they're trying to get justice for the victims and all that. It just seems like
well, that's the Monica dress, of course. Of course it is.
Care
of course it is.
About questioning Republicans, and we've had a former Trump cabinet secretary, Acosta, in.
Yeah, this is some Diddy shit, man. And see, the funny thing with all these high-level, powerful people is they always like to leave clues. I can't remember who said the quote, and I wish I could give them credit, but somebody said they aren't like hiding it from us. They're actually hinting to us that they're doing these things. And that's why you see all these, videos of Diddy hinting about his parties on the Ellen show, and, Obama, oh, I heard there's no parties like a Diddy party. Let me tell you, I heard there's no parties like a Diddy party.
For a grilling, we had Bill Barr.
Me and Mike came through.
Former Attorney General in for a grilling. But for whatever reason, President Clinton didn't show up, and the Democrats on the committee don't seem to have a problem. This is the amount of preparation that went into this deposition today. These were the questions that we were prepared to ask. We've communicated with President Clinton's legal team for months now, giving them opportunity after opportunity to come in, to give us a date, and they continue to delay to the point where we had no idea whether they're going to show up today or not. I think it's very disappointing.
So the Clintons currently dodging court to avoid the Epstein files and the fallout that's going to happen. My question for you guys is this. Do you think anybody's going to be held accountable, either Trump or Bill Clinton, for what's happened with Epstein? You can just put in the chat Trump or Clinton for who you think is going to actually be held accountable. I'm not sure that either one of them will be. And that's kind of my perspective on it. Look, just the way that I'm seeing it with Bill Clinton, if he was going to get caught for being a pervert, I feel like it would have happened a long time ago. Because there's just so much evidence. There's so many different stories. 27 visits after the presidency to Jeffrey Epstein and 17 visits to the White House. I feel like there's not even a single question as to what Bill Clinton did. And the fact that the world, the United States, the biggest country on the planet, most of the time, in most cases, whether it's Republicans or whether it's Democrats, is being overseen and run by PDFs and PDF defenders, to me is absolutely sickening. It's sickening. They're all pedos. They're all in it. And it really shows how sick the political culture is in America when people try to make it a partisan issue. That to me is the part that absolutely just makes me sick. You know, people trying to be like, oh, well, it's, you know, it's only bad if the pedos are Republicans or all those Democrats, they're the pedos. Let's remember what we're talking about here, guys. Let's remember the gravity and the severity of what we're talking about, because from where I'm sitting, I don't give a fuck if they're Republican, Democrat, or an independent. They should be under the jail if they were on Epstein's Island. They should be under the jail if they had anything to do with a single portion of this story. And what we're doing is we're losing focus on that. All these motherfuckers got to go down. Left, right, it doesn't matter. The same way that the good ones should be elevated regardless of party. If the next good president is a Democrat, put him in. If he's a Republican, put him in. Fuck all this partisan stuff. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening behind the scenes. Let's go to another video. Let's see what we got. RFK Jr. spoke on Trump's diet. So I don't know if you guys saw this stuff about Trump's diet, but apparently Trump eats like the worst diet on the planet. He eats like a 12-year-old. So I guess his diet mainly consists of Diet Coke. Word is he doesn't drink any water. And the number one meals that he eats are reportedly KFC and McDonald's. So I can't imagine that goes over super well with the Secretary of Health. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what RFK has to say about Trump's diet.
Who has the most unhinged eating habits?
The president. You know, the interesting thing about the president is that he eats really bad food, which is McDonald's, and then, you know, candy and Diet Coke. But he drinks the Diet Coke all times. He has the constitution of a deity. I don't know how he's alive, but he is. And he's at Mar-a-Lago. He says that the only time that he eats the junk food is when he's on the road, and he wants to eat food from big corporations because he trusts it. He doesn't want to get sick when he's on the road. But when he's at Mar-a-Lago or at the White House, he's eating really good food. So I think you get this, if you travel with him, you get this idea that he's just pumping himself full of poison all day long, and you don't know how he's walking around, much less being the most energetic person, you know, any of us have ever met.
Yeah, I don't know how Trump does it still. I don't understand the way he does it. Having such a bad diet. The lack of sleep and the lack of water, to me, is what confuses me. I think you can get away with the rest. I mean, there's people who drink tons of Coke, eat McDonald's all day, eat KFC, just eat like, who's the guy, the golfer, John Daly? Like, there's guys like that. But I don't understand, like, what's their constitution to do that? To not drink water? I don't understand how that works, but Trump's got to take care of himself, bro. If he wants longevity in this shit. People are saying he's sick now. A lot of people are saying Trump is sick. I don't know exactly what the situation is. Let's look at this one. Oh, yeah, I really wanted to play this clip. So, Eric Adams, the former mayor of New York City, got into an altercation coming off a plane with a woman who was, I guess, antagonizing him at the airport. Now, Eric Adams completely going gangster, okay? He got gangster a little bit in this clip, telling the woman harassing him, I'm not mayor anymore. You're going to see the Brooklyn in me. Let's take a look at this.
Eric Adams, please punch me in the face. I would love if you punch me in the face. Okay, you can get fucked too.
All right?
Yeah, fuck you.
Those days are over.
Yeah, good. Thank God. Damn. And I
You're
can
gonna
see
see
your
the
ugly
Brooklyn
ass
in me.
face everywhere. Damn.
That's right.
You're going to see the Brooklyn in me is crazy. He said, bitch, these hands are bisexual. You understand me? Equal opportunity hands. These hands are DEI. Got the DEI right hook.
Eric Adams, please punch me in the face. I would love if you punch me in the face. Okay, you can
Go fuck yourself.
too.
All right?
Yeah,
I'm not
fuck
married
you.
anymore. Those
Yeah.
days are over.
Yeah, good. Thank God. Damn. And I
You're
can
gonna
see
see
your
the
ugly
Brooklyn
ass
in me.
face everywhere. Damn.
That's right.
I actually think this is kind of funny. And Eric Adams, he also put it on X, by the way. He doubled down. The New York Post put up an article that said, Eric Adams tells heckler to go fuck yourself. And he puts exactly as the caption to this video. So I got to be honest, I kind of got to hand it to Eric Adams. I've always thought he was, like, I don't even know how he became the mayor. This is just, to me, some dude from the block. Like, every time I've seen Eric Adams in a video, this is just some dude from the block. Not political. I don't understand how he became a mayor. As a mayor, pretty bad. I mean, I spent a good amount of time in New York while he was mayor talking to people. Really, really bad reactions on Eric Adams from New Yorkers, but at least he's funny. You know, if you're going to be a shit politician and really drive your city or your state into the ground and just really mismanage everything, at least be funny. You know, it's like, if you're just a shitty politician with no charisma, then you're just kind of ruining it for everybody. This was the one clip that was funny of Eric Adams.
One thing for sure, one law that was passed is clearly being practiced right now, because I smell some weed. Someone is smoking. Someone is smoking. All right.
So stupid. This is like, everybody's like, what is this guy talking about right now?
You smell that? You smell that, Marsha?
You smell that?
One thing for sure, one law that was passed is clearly being practiced right now, because
Somebody in the chat said you stand with Eric Adams. When the fuck did I say I stand with Eric Adams? Like, I swear, sometimes I read the chat and I'm like, are you guys watching the same show that I'm doing? Like, I don't even know if you guys, I never said I stand with Eric Adams. What a ridiculous thing to say. I think he was I just said he was a terrible mayor. It's like, I don't know where people come up with this shit. Okay, we got some more clips. Make sure to smash that like and sub, guys. By the way, we've been doing crazy numbers the past week. Well, really more than the past week, but this past week especially has been nuts. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, so make sure to hit that sub and that like. Send this to a friend, and let's keep this going. So, this is an interesting clip. So, one of the people in Florida, I don't know if it's the governor, it's a candidate for governor. So one of the candidates for governor in Florida who goes by the name of James Fishback, has proposed a brand new tax which is shaking the residents of Florida, especially the ones who don't actually have a proper career path. So the governor candidate has proposed a 50% sin tax. Yes, S-I-N, a sin tax that specifically applies to OF creators. Let's take a little look at this video explaining what this tax would actually look like and why it would be applied only to adult entertainers in the state of Florida. Very interesting concept.
I want to break some news here with you, Joel. I hadn't planned to do this, but allow me to do it, which is that as Florida governor in year one, I will push for the first of its kind OnlyFans sin tax. If you are a so-called OnlyFans creator in Florida, you are going to pay 50% to the state on whatever you so-called earn via that online degeneracy platform. And that money will be used to fund our education system, will be used to fund the crisis pregnancy centers, will be used to fund the first of its kind mental health czar for men in particular.
What do you guys think of this?
Because men have been told for far too long that they are guilty of masculinity, that they are guilty of all of society's ills. I'm not going to stand for that slanderous lie. What I'm going to do is I am going to end this lie that toxic masculinity is responsible for all the sins and ills of society. If you're an OnlyFans model and you reside in Florida, get ready to pay 50% of your income to the state. It is called a sin tax because it is a sin, number one. But the purpose of a sin tax in economics is to disincentivize and deter a behavior. And yes, as Florida governor, I don't want young women who could otherwise be mothers, raising families, rearing children. I don't want them to be selling their bodies to sick men online. And I don't want young, impressionable men who have strayed from Christ, who have strayed from our Lord and Savior, to be told and drawn into lust and have their entire brain rewired. We will raise hundreds of millions of dollars of income on the OnlyFans sin tax. And if we don't, Joel, if we don't raise that income, you know what it'll mean? It will mean something even greater has materialized for the young women and young men of our state, that the OnlyFans industry and its supporters, and you know who those supporters are, Joel, that its supporters will have been utterly robbed of their ability to rob us, not just of our hard-earned wages, but of our commitment to Christ.
Wow. Okay, first of all, this seems like it was almost like a skit or something. Like this, I can't really tell if this dude is rage baiting or if he's actually serious. I mean, part of me feels like there's something behind this that's not exactly real. It just kind of sounds like bullshit. But if this is true, this is actually super interesting. And so I feel like there's a couple layers to it. The first thing is, I think anything that we can do to disincentivize women from using OnlyFans is a positive thing. I think what the world really needs at this point is strong traditional men and strong traditional women. I know it may sound cliche, or they may say, oh, he's ultra-conservative. Fuck it. I think we need strong traditional men and strong traditional women. Obviously, the current new gen of women and men isn't getting a lot done, aren't gelling together well, and it's not really working. You know, the OnlyFans subscriber guys and the OnlyFans girls who are posting this content, this dynamic isn't working. Now, whether or not that's the responsibility of the governor of Florida to remedy is a different question. But I do think anything that de-incentivizes people from using OnlyFans is a positive thing. The only issue that I think, though, is that the governor candidate here is overestimating the amount of money that's made by girls on OnlyFans. And this is something that I really try to zero in on. You hear these stories of these women talking about making $45 million in a year or $50 million in 1 year off posting pictures that aren't even fully nude on OnlyFans. And the reality of this is that most of the people like the girl that we're seeing down here, most of the talking heads for the adult industries, such as OnlyFans, they're not making as much money, one, as they say they are, but two, the figures that they're, purporting to make, this is just direct propaganda from the porn companies to actually start making young women do OnlyFans. Imagine how much easier it is to get girls in Florida to do OnlyFans, hot chicks in Miami, if you tell them that, yes, you're going to lose everybody in your life and you're going to be an outcast of society and nobody's ever going to take you seriously again, no man's ever going to want to marry you. But look, you can make $45 million in 1 year. Look at Sophie Rain. You could make $45 million and it's worth it. Look what she made. This is 100% pure propaganda. I do not believe it. And that's just where I stand on it. I don't think any single woman has made $50 million off of OnlyFans. It's bullshit. I do not buy it for a second. So I don't think this is going to bring as much money in as the governor thinks. He's saying this is going to pay for schools and roads. I don't think there's enough money being generated from OnlyFans to pay for that. But it is nice to see somebody taking incentive away from the OnlyFans girls. Sophie Rain, I guess one of the OnlyFans girls herself, responded to this. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what she had to say. She's probably pissed.
Never in my whole life did I think that I would wake up and see a Florida politician trying to start beef with me for clout. So he's proposing a sin tax on bops where we would have to pay 50% to the state on top of the 37 I already paid to the government. And I would be more than happy to pay that if multi-billion-dollar corporations were also being properly taxed. But surprise, they're not. I never usually get into politics, but there are clearly better ways to raise funds from actual corrupt businesses in our country. I think that people also fail to realize that there are so many creators on this platform that do this job because they're struggling. So to tax them like that when they're literally doing it just to support their families is sad. I would much rather continue donating directly to people in need because we all really know where our taxes
Oh, you're doing it just to support your families. Wah. Let me tell you something. If you're a hot chick like this, there is zero excuse for you not getting off your lazy ass and going to find a job. Do you know how much easier it is for a hot chick to get a job than it is for a man to get a job? If this girl, let's say this girl Sophie Rain took an afternoon and she walked into 5 restaurants in Brickell. 5 restaurants in Miami in a nice area, probably didn't even hand out a resume, just asked to talk to a manager. I guarantee you she would leave there with a job. So don't come to me crying that you're showing your, titties on OnlyFans to provide for your family, as if that's the only option that you have to provide for your family. A girl like this has tons of opportunities. You live in one of the richest states in the country. That is a total crock of bullshit. The other thing is, this is a corrupt business. Look, whether people consume it or not is not the question. Pornography is corrupt. Adult entertainment is corrupt. I'm not necessarily against it, but I do think that the new levels of accessibility are making it more damaging on people's mental health. And also, this is creating a lot of safety issues for the actual models. We talked about the girl who was stalked. Actually, it was her. It was this girl here. We talked about it on a past stream, the fact that she's been stalked and doxxed. Really, it's bad business. Look, OnlyFans, other than a quick hit of dopamine and a quick little hit of lust, pause, did the gooning hand motion is fucking diabolical. To do the hand motion on YouTube, I think I may have got a little too comfortable tonight, so let me chill. Or maybe let me not chill. Maybe I'm too chill. But the point is this. There is nothing about OnlyFans as a business that is a net positive for anybody involved. So yes, I do think, you guys are going to, don't clip that. I do think that a lot of people are going to use it still. But I also think this is an interesting proposition. What do you guys think? Should OnlyFans, look, honestly, guys, I see a point when OnlyFans is going to be banned. At a certain point. That's honestly what I would say. I could see in the future, I would give it 5 years, and in the major countries, USA, probably Canada, I would imagine OnlyFans is going to be banned. Because here's the other layer of this, by the way, before we hit the next story that we're not even discussing. The other part of this is that governments don't want people making a bunch of money without them involved. So they can, I think that's kind of more so what this is about. They're going to try to claim morality. They're going to try to claim that they're trying to protect young men and shield young women from going down a treacherous path. I think all of that is most likely bullshit. The most likely scenario here is that the government is seeing people making what they believe to be tens of millions of dollars off OnlyFans. They're not involved, Sure, they're paying taxes, but they could stand to get a bigger piece of that because they don't need independent millionaires being made. So, yeah, this is a good way to jump in and get that money and stop people from having that financial independence, stop people from essentially escaping the matrix, because that is one of the things that OnlyFans does for women. It lets them escape, you know, the matrix, as it's called today, working a regular job, answering to a boss, having a regular income. Governments don't really want you to escape the matrix. So I would imagine anything that makes it easier to get out of their systems is going to be eliminated pretty soon. And OnlyFans is a big one of those things. So, again, let me know what you guys think. Should it be banned? Should it be kept? I mean, I think it's a very double-edged sword here. Because the other part of me says people should do whatever the fuck they want. That's I mean, typically that's where I stand on most issues. I think people should just do whatever they want. But at what cost? You know, that's the real question. Let's see. They talked a little bit about this on TMZ.
And listen,
do you guys like TMZ or no? Because I feel like people complain when I play the TMZ clips. If you guys don't like it, we won't play it. I'll give you like the first 15 seconds.
it's interesting. It's interesting because you get to hear new perspectives, new voices, new ideas. And there's one going on in Florida that is really...
We're not going to play it. I feel like these guys... Listen, Harvey, unless you want to let me work for you, brother, we're not going there. Harvey... You call me, get me on the show, and then we'll do it for your show. How about that? Let's hop into another story, everybody. So let's see. We had Trump. We had Epstein. What is this? Very thirsty man loses his mind to New York City reporter. What? What do you mean, very thirsty man?
Your ass is big. You is that black for the back. Fuck that little video shit you showed me. I want to get down with this. You get down with this.
What the fuck, man?
You get down with this, baby. Oh my God! It's a prank. It's a prank. It's a prank.
Oh my God.
It's a prank. Your ass is big.
Bro, I'm so not used to seeing crazy people anymore. Like, I almost forgot what it was like to deal with crackheads. Ever since I moved to Asia, I'll see a video of a crackhead on the street, and I'm like, oh, that's a thing that people have to deal with in America? Every day? Like, I can't imagine walking out the door every day, and I'm dealing with fucking crazy people constantly, and it's just normal. It's so not normal. But it's so normalized. It's like I can't even wrap my mind around the concept. Let's see, what else do we got, gang? So what does this say? A Secret Service agent on J.D. Vance's detail leaked private security information to an undercover journalist. What?
Can I see your badge again with your photo? You're so cute.
A current Secret Service agent on
This dude got honeypotted. Man, how many dudes are going to get honeypotted by an attractive woman who's actually a spy? This dude is on a date or something?
Can I see your badge again with your photo? You're so cute.
Aw, dude. First Kash Patel and now him? Bro, how many dudes are going to get honeypotted? Look, I swear, I've had an agent come for me before, guys. Anytime a girl appears in your life like that, some gorgeous girl from some suspicious country, don't date her. Don't tell her anything. I swear to God. I swear to God, I just had an agent come for me, guys. I swear. I sound great. Now I sound like Candace Owens, like a tinfoil hat.
current Secret Service agent on Vice President J.D. Vance's security detail.
When he's like walking, like where are you?
We'll have a lease, a minimum head and
gives away vital high-level security information to our undercover journalists.
We have different shifts. We have shift.
tells her about detailed future travel plans for the vice president, and even sends her pictures with location metadata revealing where the president's convoy was located.
This is crazy. Bro's flexing the presidential flex? Hang on a second. These photos were cool, though. Where was he at?
Future travel plans for the vice president, and even sends her pictures with location metadata revealing where...
Bro's taking a picture in front of the... Damn it, I keep trying to pause it at the right second.
With location metadata revealing...
Bro was taking a picture in front of the presidential plane? This dude's living in politics and he's trying to flex like an Instagram rapper.
Where the president's convoy was located, potentially violating both the Secret Service NDA and United States federal law. Tomas is fully aware of this. Quote, I signed paperwork, so if I don't have to give out information, I never do, otherwise I get in trouble. You really have to stand in awe of the lack of self-awareness.
There ain't no secret about what we do.
Tomas Escato also reveals that he voted for Biden and that he hates Trump and Vance's immigration policies.
Did you vote for Biden?
Yes, I did actually.
No way, no way. You're not telling me people on Trump's administration voted for Biden. See, how do we verify that these are real, guys? That's my question, because I see a lot of these hidden camera videos. How do we verify these are the legit people that they're talking to?
What do you think about like all the ICE stuff going on?
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
They're employing taxes that shouldn't be employed.
You may have seen reports last week that someone attempted to break into Vice President J.D. Vance's home in Ohio. That incident prompted us to take a closer look. What we found in our investigation was an agent inside the vice president's detail who was actually revealing to a total stranger that the vice president would be visiting his home in Ohio days ahead of time. And while what you're about to see is an important story, the security of the vice president and his family is our top priority. Now, under normal circumstances, our editorial policy is to request comment a day or two before a report airs. But in this case, we contacted the Secret Service a full week in advance of this report to ensure that nothing we report here would compromise the vice president's safety in any way. But even
all right, bro, shut up. Like, seriously, I hate when people put these long-ass intros. Show me the fucking video that I clicked to watch. And it's simple. You guys click my streams. I talk for 30 seconds. We jump in. I don't want to hear this other shit. Show me the money.
Airplane is on the Secret Service schedule.
So like when he's like walking, like where are you?
Following.
Just following.
There's a group of us who surround, make a bubble.
Yeah.
We'll have at least a minimum head and so now that I'm on the vice president's actual details, a little different because we have different shifts. We have shift.
So these dudes they hire are literally just retards, is what I'm coming to understand. And I think this realization started for me when Trump's Secret Service fumbled, or maybe that was a planned thing for them to fumble and maybe let him get shot. I know that's a whole other debate. But really I realized it when Trump got shot. When I looked at these Secret Service people, I was like, these are the people that we're supposed to believe, like have it covered. Like these are the people that we're entrusting if everything hits the fan. In the world's most dangerous situations, these are the guys. These people are retarded. They literally have no skills, no expertise, and they sit there at dinner with a girl and they flex like they're an IG celebrity. They flex like they're a TikToker. I was on a private jet. I was in a convoy full of cars. Like, what type of shit is this? These are the people holding national security together?
Via text, J.D. Vance's Secret Service agent informs the stranger when he has picked up J.D. Vance's wife and even mentions that he and Vance are currently at Tomas even...
Can you imagine your security guard texting in the corner where you guys are at? This is next. Like, not even a rapper would allow this.
Sends a selfie from inside a J.D. Vance's residence at the Naval Observatory. It's basically a secure location while the Secret Service is surveilling the Vice President's home. Now, while he's supposed to be guarding the Vice President's property, Tomas is busy snapping selfies, texting our journalist. Now, here's a picture that Tomas sent us.
Damn, and that photo's cold, too. There's such cool photos. That's the thing. I would be like, see, I could say I would be taking pictures too, but that's also why I would not be working for the Secret Service, because I would want to take pictures.
Us taking off from Joint Base Andrews Air Force Base, you see the convoy vehicle going into the airplane, and some of these photos even had location metadata baked in the photos. It's worth mentioning that these pictures were taken a few months prior to sending them to our journalist. While they didn't give away the vice president's location in real time, they did give away certain routes that were used and the number of vehicles in the convoy, information which could be used in the future. This is a photo Tomas sent us from King Khalid International Airport.
That's probably the craziest photo. Dude's in plain clothes. He's not even in a uniform.
In Saudi Arabia. Here's a photo Tomas sent us loading the convoy into an aircraft at Munich Airport in Germany, where Vice President Vance gave a speech to the Munich Security Council. Again, metadata there on the photo. Another image revealing the exact location at the presidential helicopter at JFK in New York. And we think perhaps most significant here, revealed the location where President Trump's convoy was driving through Emirates Palace in Abu Dhabi, May 2025. This convoy was transporting President Trump for a state visit with the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed.
Bro, I want to go to Abu Dhabi so bad, by the way. Such a irrelevant comment. Has anybody been to the Emirates or like Saudi in the chat?
In Zayed Al Nahyan. These photos are from Tomas Escoto's time during the Secret Service shot from his personal iPhone.
Crazy.
His personal phone dating back to May, while on duty protecting the vice president and president, and all of this was sent to our undercover journalist. The Secret Service agent even goes on to
see how much power a woman has? See, this is why they say pussy runs the world. This dude gave up national security secrets for free just to get him a little piece. The bro just wanted a little piece. Shit runs the world.
Detail recent visits to Minnesota, Tennessee.
Not even national security can compete with pussy.
He specifies that the Secret Service team was on location as per the procedure.
He went to Minnesota last week.
Okay.
So we sent out a team ahead of time before he went there. Ahead of time.
Okay.
So they do the security advance for that. Depending on what it is, you know,
sure.
You liaison with our field office out there, local law enforcement,
wow.
state law enforcement, and any other federal law enforcement, depending on what we're doing. Come up with a plan to secure where he's going to be at, the airport, the route from each place that he's going to. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If he's staying in a hotel, then we have something.
He's not even asking questions anymore. He's just leaking all the secrets like at his own will.
We have to set that up.
Oh my God.
Before the trip to Tennessee, the Secret Service agent also texts our journalist informing her which plane the vice president will be traveling in and when they plan to depart. He even texts her an image of himself in the plane, notifying her that he is on board with the VP. And even worse, Escoto continues to detail Vance's future travel plans, revealing at the time that Vance will be visiting his home in Ohio for 4 to 5 days, and then will be visiting Florida for one night. Now,
this dude just won't quit.
This is potentially a violation of the non-disclosure agreement that Tomas would have signed when joining the Secret Service, which states, quote, the unauthorized disclosure, unauthorized retention, or negligent handling of classified information by me could damage or irreparably be injury to the United States or could be used to advantage by a foreign nation. I hereby agree that I will never divulge classified information to anyone, unquote. And it may also be a violation of federal law. 18 U.S. Code 793, gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information. Now, in some Section D, it states, lawfully having possession of photographs related to national defense and communicating or
Osaka says he went to Dubai in '96. That would have been a crazy experience. Yeah, they were just building the infrastructure. Skyscrapers weren't built yet. That would be interesting.
Transmitting them to any person not entitled to receive them shall be fined or imprisoned, not more than 10 years or both. It's important to note that the Secret Service could not confirm that the behavior exhibited by Tomas violates these laws, but they did say they are potential violations of the United States Secret Service Code of Conduct. Tomas is fully aware of this, as he mentions in one text to our journalist, quote, I signed paperwork So if I don't have to give out information, I never do, otherwise I get in trouble. You really have to stand in awe of the lack of self-awareness. All of what I just showed you is ironic, because Gestapo has already given our journalist information about protective formations, times of shift changes, locations and times of travel, and even pictures of vice president convoys with location data. There is one more aspect to this interaction that caught our attention. Tomas reveals to our undercover that he voted for Biden.
Did you vote for Biden?
Yes, I did actually.
This is so over the top. Is this fake? Like, this detail is the dumbest detail. Why would a guy who voted for Biden be working on Trump's administration? I mean, unless he's just one of the hired guns who just goes from president to president. I would imagine not all the guys who work for presidents like said president. But why, though? Why would this even occur?
No, it's 2020. Yeah, I did too.
That was the first time I was able to vote.
Really?
I wasn't a citizen.
Wow.
I got my citizenship in 2018.
If Tomas got his citizenship in 2018, he's been a Secret Service agent for 5 years.
How long have you been as a Secret Service?
5 years.
5 years. Okay.
And that means he was placed into duty with the Secret Service after about 2 years of citizenship in America. Tomas also goes on to reveal that he hates President Trump and Vice President Vance's immigration policies.
What do you think about like all the ICE stuff going on?
Dude, even the Secret Service doesn't like ICE. This is so ridiculous, bro. So their own people don't even like them then? It's just kind of like, it's just they're taking the paycheck, basically. Look, I don't blame them. Listen, USA is a hard country to survive in, my friends, okay? America's hard to get by in. You know what? If you're a Biden supporter and Trump offers you a job, I think you should take the job. And I would even go as far to say that if you told this to Trump, if you were to sit face to face with Trump and you were to tell him, look, honestly, bro, I was a Biden voter. I needed the money. You had a pretty good salary. I took the job just because fuck it. He would probably approve. He'd be like, yeah, take the job. You got to take the job. The greatest job.
It's really sad.
I don't understand why they're covering the case. I don't agree with that at all. At the end of the day, we're public servants.
Sure.
You're allowed to see our face.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing secretive about what we do.
There's nothing secretive about what we do. Direct quote from the U.S. Secret Service agent Thomas Escato. There's nothing secretive. Let me play that again. I don't think I heard that correctly. There's nothing secretive about what we do.
Servants.
Sure.
You're allowed to see our face.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing secretive about what we do.
There's nothing secretive about what the Secret Service does. I mean, what would have made me think that there's something secretive about it? I mean, it's not like it's implied in the name.
But why they're doing that, I have no idea.
Idiots.
They got stopped with that stuff.
Yeah. It's terribly sad.
No, that is actually a sad thing. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
They're employing taxes that shouldn't be employed.
Now there, Tomas is actually allowed to express his opinions. It's his First Amendment right. If he was only doing that, this wouldn't be a story. We thought it was important to include that because it might provide some clues or context as to why he was displaying this behavior. Whether Tomas is merely inexperienced and loose-lipped, intentionally sabotaging the vice president's security, or just plain stupid, well, that's unclear. But what's certain is this should not be...
I think all three. He's definitely just plain stupid.
Behavior. Whether Tomas is merely inexperienced and loose-lipped, intentionally sabotaging the vice president's security, or just plain stupid, well, that's unclear. But what's certain is this should not be happening inside our Secret Service, particularly after the serious security lapses in 2024 that led to the head of the Secret Service resigning after what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. And why do we think this is an important story? Well, most importantly is the protection and the security of the Vice President of the United States. And we hope this story leads to better security and better protection than what we're seeing here. We're confident that it will. We hope it sends a shockwave through the Secret Service that deters bad actors and unprofessionalism in a way that, for example, Inspector General never could. And we hope that it leads people with information to come to O'Keefe Media Group and Citizen Journalism Foundation. We hope that it encourages people to tell other stories like this.
Crazy, man. So the Secret Service, completely unreliable. Guys, I feel like my whole perspective on government was completely reshaped in the past hour and a half, 2 hours. We've seen that the Secret Service is completely useless. Every president is basically a pedo and is above the law, according to the people who've written it. And nobody's ever going to be held accountable. The world is completely fucked. And that really just leads me to believe that the only place where we're going to be okay is when we're all together trying to make sense, talking shit, and try to figure it all out. So right here, listen, this is my happy place. This stream is exactly where I want to be. That's why I'm live every single night, trying to make sense of things, bringing you guys the hottest stories in music and entertainment. So make sure to come tap in live again tomorrow. I'm usually on around 9 or 10 in the morning Eastern time. And make sure to show some love on the Super Chat donations. Hit the channel membership down below. If you like what I've been doing, that basically just says, hey, I like what you do on the stream. Here's a cup of coffee every month to show my support. And you get a cool little badge next to your name as well. You can hit the membership button down below to sign up. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. To all the new people, welcome aboard. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. We're going absolutely crazy. So, guys, make sure to join before the train starts going too fast. We're about to hit 100K, and it's going to go crazy after that. I'll be back live tomorrow. Can't wait to chat with you guys. And this was one hell of a fucking stream. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to, like, make them a good length. I could go all night, but I'm trying to make them a good length. I'm very excited for tomorrow. So we'll chat with you guys then. And guys, stop fighting. Zach and Critical, stop fighting. I want you guys to, after you subscribe to me, you can subscribe to each other. And then we'll all be friends, okay? No Diddy. I love you guys. Take care.